Anzac Day is probably Australia's most important national commemoration. 90 years ago, Australian and New Zealand forces together began their first major military battle. Australia itself was a very young nation, and it was fighting against a foreign army halfway around the world in a place called Gallipoli. In a moment, we'll hear what it was like to be there. But first, let's find out some of the basics. Anzac Day. There are marches, services at monuments like this, and we get a day off school or work. But what is Anzac Day really all about? Well, firstly, Anzac isn't just the name of a yummy biscuit. It stands for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. It's the day when Australia and New Zealand stops to remember all those who have served and died in the military. But why April 25th? This day is significant because of something that happened here on the other side of the world in Turkey. It was during World War I. On one side was Germany and its allies, including Turkey. On the other, Great Britain and its allies, including Australia and New Zealand, and others that joined later. Britain thought the Turks would leave the war if it could take control of the country's capital, Istanbul, then called Constantinople. The plan was to send British and French naval ships past the forts right up to Constantinople and point their huge guns at the palace. But the only way to get there was through this narrow strip of water, which was guarded on both sides by big guns in forts. And there were loads of underwater mines as well. Many ships were sunk. So soldiers on the British side were sent to take control of the fort, which would allow the ships to get through to Constantinople. They thought it would be easy. They were wrong. On April 25th, 1915, they landed at 6 points along the Gallipoli Peninsula. Other Allied soldiers landed at these locations. The Australians and New Zealanders landed here, at a place that would later be named Anzac Cove. The soldiers were expecting a flat beach and small hills, but they were taken to the wrong beach and had to climb cliffs. It was easy for the Turkish soldiers on the hills above to shoot them. The same thing was happening at other landing locations. The soldiers battled for months. They never came anywhere near the fort. During the landing battles, more than 130,000 soldiers were killed from both sides, including more than 11,000 Anzacs. Another 22,500 were injured. The Allied soldiers achieved little, and 8 months after landing at Gallipoli, they left under the cover of night. One of the lucky ones to survive Gallipoli was this 16-year-old Australian boy, Alec Campbell. He lied about his age to get into the army. He was the last surviving Gallipoli soldier and died in 2002. Australian soldiers commemorated the landing of Gallipoli on its first anniversary and named it Anzac Day. The tradition continued, and Gallipoli became a symbol of Australian courage, endurance and mateship. It's not just celebrated in Australia. Many young Aussies and New Zealanders travel to Gallipoli each year, and the Turks are now friends. So why have Anzac Day services at dawn? Well, it's the time of day that the soldiers landed at Gallipoli, when they hoped to be protected by the mist and the shadows of first light. The last post is always played on Anzac Day. Traditionally, it was used to summon soldiers back to the barracks. And what about those yummy Anzac biscuits? Well, the mums, wives and girlfriends were worried about the nutritional value of food being served up to our fighting men. So they came up with a yummy, nutritious biscuit that would last a long time and sent it to their men.